Hey, y'all, I'm back. I don't know what was going on with my camera, but I am back. If I have any other issues, I will try to do a recording and put it on my pages. So hopefully, let's try to dive right in. Welcome, everyone. I'm Coach Sheree, the single parent life coach, and I'm so excited to have you here today. This is part two of last week's session, building unshakable confidence, embracing your worth as a single parent after dealing with rejection. And so, just a little bit about what we'll discuss tonight. I know last week I went over a couple of things like rebuilding self esteem after rejection. I also went over shifting your mindset from not enough to more than enough. And so we'll kind of go through those to try to refresh our memories. And so we'll also have talking about setting boundaries and not settling in relationships, whether that's work, life. Hold on one second. Let me just make sure this is working properly. One second. So sorry about that, guys. I muted myself. So let's just dive right in. So when we talk about building unshakable confidence after dealing with rejection, if you've seen any of my posts this week, it's talking about balancing responsibilities, overcoming self doubt, feeling like you have to prove yourself or prove your worth to people. You're already more than enough. You're already on a unique journey. Um, your strength is unmatched. Your presence is invaluable in your child's life or your children's lives. So, so we'll refresh from last week. I talked about rebuilding self-esteem after rejection. Rejection can feel personal, but it's not a reflection of your worth. It's an experience, not a definition of who you are. So some tips on how you can reclaim your confidence would be reframing rejection. Instead of seeing rejection as a failure, see it as a redirection. Towards something better. Self compassion. Practice that for yourself. You want to speak to yourself in a way that you would feel comfortable. But also redirecting yourself to think optimistically, not pessimistically, meaning like when you feel like, I'm not worthy of this. Yes, you are. You are. So you want to say affirmations such as, I am worthy of whatever that may be, love, success, a successful business, well-mannered children, well-behaved children, however, whatever that may be, that you are worthy of that. And so you also want to release the external validations that sometimes we gravitate to, or sometimes we long for. It doesn't decrease just because someone else doesn't see it. Your value does not decrease just because someone else doesn't see it or didn't see it. Because sometimes we'll base things off of previous relationships that we've gone through. And so that's something that you can't base your value on, because sometimes we're no longer those people, depending on how long ago that relationship was. And so you also want to engage in activities that will rebuild your confidence, like trying a new hobby or invest in self-care, surround yourself with people who uplift you. And self-care doesn't have to be just going to get your nails done or your toes done, or for me, whatever it is that you guys do. But whatever it may be, invest in yourself, whether that's reading a good book or just going to the park and just sitting at the table and enjoying the weather and reading a book there, or taking a walk. Whatever that's self-care. That's a part of self-care. And so also you also want to journal. Journal helps you get your thoughts out. Journal help you to write things out down about yourself that maybe you didn't know about yourself 2 months ago or 3 months ago, depending on what you're going through and what you're dealing with. You want to write 3 things about yourself that you love. Do it on a daily basis. And before you know it, before the month, you may come up with 30, maybe 50 things that you love about yourself. And so, are things that you've accomplished that you're proud of yourself for going through the process of it all to accomplish. This will shift your focus towards self appreciation. And so I also want you to remember rejection doesn't define you, your resilience does. You know, how you go through things, how you deal with things, that defines who you are. And so also shifting your mindset from not enough to more than enough. Again, I will always reiterate this: confidence does start in the mind. If you constantly feel like you're lacking or you're operating from that a space of lacking, you're going to shape how your mindset is going to shape your reality. If you believe you're not enough, then that's what you'll operate from. You're going to operate from that space. You know, you got to flip the script. You actually do. You have to shift your mindset. In order to do that, you got to identify what those limiting beliefs are. What negative thoughts do you repeat about yourself? Because we all know that we all do it. We're our worst critics. So challenge yourself that um, you're different from what those negative thoughts are. Again, use positive affirmations, say things like, I'm more than enough. And so, absolutely, I like that. Lakeisha on YouTube, he says we project what we expect, and we do. You know, if we don't, if we whether that's positive or negative, we really, really do. We project what we expect. And so you want to speak those positive things or those things that you want or that you expect to happen. You want to speak those things. You have to project that. Even if it's not there already, you want to make sure that you are walking in it or that you are going in the direction that you can start walking in, because it all starts in the mind. You are who you think you are. You are who you say you are. And so, and then practice gratitude for yourself. Give yourself grace. Be grateful for what you have already accomplished. Be grateful for where you're at, where you came from. Also, um, be able to visualize your best self. You know, who do you want to be? You know, what type of person do you want to be? You know, who do you want to become? Like, what is the best version of, how do you envision the best version of yourself? You know, the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you make decisions, the way you handle situations that are uncomfortable, the way you handle situations that catch you off guard. I had one yesterday that caught me off guard, and oof, I don't. A part of me felt like I handled it better than I would have in a normal situation, or but another part of me was like, ooh, maybe it was like maybe my tonality. I could have worked on that because I was somewhat rude when I in my response. So a lot of times those are things that I have to write. I've written down and said, hey, I got to work on this, because some situations can catch you off guard. And that was a moment that caught me off guard in the midst of some things that I was already doing. And so you have to start acting as if you're already that person. And so it's surrounding yourself with empowering people, people that are on that level that you're trying to get on, you know, or find out what they went through. Because everybody that's on a level that you desire, they didn't get there just by happenstance, you know, or by luck. They got there through a process. They had to go through a process themselves. So your confidence grows when you choose to believe in your own work every single day. Um, and so that also starts with setting boundaries and not settling in relationships, work, and just life, period. And sometimes, even when you set these boundaries, always remember that once you know your worth, you don't settle in any type of relationship or friendship, or even with family, you know, whether it's long term or short term friendships, relationships, you don't settle. You do not allow um, anything to enter into your life that's going to um, interrupt your boundaries. You want to protect your peace, your energy, and you want to have that self respect. So, um, in order to do that, the way that you can do that is you can, sorry, I lost my train of thought. You can get a clear understanding of what your non negotiables are, what you no longer accept. I know for me, a lot of times I prefer reciprocity. You know, if you can't reciprocate what I give to you, and I don't receive it back in a relationship, then whether that's family, friend, or foe, you know, romantic or just a friendship, You have to be able to reciprocate that. We got to be able, because I'm a communicator. We got to be able to talk about it if there's an issue. And then, of course, make sure that you're emotionally ready for that. Because if you value that person, you don't want to lash out. You don't want to have make another issue out of one issue that you're already trying to resolve. Sometimes it's best to write down those non-negotiables so that you can work on it. It may not happen with everybody. It's not going to happen overnight, but you can gradually get to that point of, no longer accepting those non-negotiables, whatever that may be, and learn to say no without guilt. No is a complete sentence. Don't over explain to people. People pleasing, it's an expense of your well being, it's an expense of your peace, your energy, and your self respect. It's draining when you are people pleasing because then you're left again, not feeling as if what you're giving out is being reciprocated back, is being given back. And so you want to enforce those boundaries consistently. If you let people cross your boundaries once, they'll keep trying to do it again. Be firm in your decisions, even if that means that you're going to lose those people, those connections, those relationships. So be it. Because you have to remember, you're choosing you, you're investing in yourself. You're creating those boundaries so that you don't feel overwhelmed when you're dealing with people, so that you don't feel stressed when you're dealing with someone who wants to be pleased by you. Because when your cup is empty, who pours into you? Just think about that for a second. If everybody's coming to you as the quote unquote strong person, or coming to you because they need something, they want to talk to you, they want to discuss this, okay, you can listen and you can give advice. But then when it's time for you to start, you know, venting and being able to discuss things and being able to share things, who can you go to? Just think about that for a second. If you have those people, kudos to you. But setting boundaries and saying no without guilt, it's important. It's important because, again, if you let people cross your boundaries once, they'll try it again. Be firm in your decisions and respect your own decisions. If you don't honor your own limits, how do you expect someone else to honor them? If you don't honor your non-negotiables, how do you expect somebody else to honor them? Don't bend. Don't bend, because you'll forever be, bend your boundaries. You'll forever bend your standards. You'll forever bend, you. And then you're still giving people access to you in a way that they shouldn't have access that way. Because you're setting the boundaries, but you're not sticking to it. As my kids say, you're not standing on business. Because of course, as parents, as single parents, we are our children's first example. And so if it's something that somebody's constantly doing or that you're constantly allowing and you wouldn't want your children to allow it, make sure you stick to your boundaries. Respect your own boundaries. If you got to cry it out later because you're losing a friendship or a relationship, so be it. If you got to take a walk to relieve the stress, do that. Because you're choosing you in this season. You have to let go of the fear of losing people. The right people will respect your boundaries. If someone gets upset because you set limits, that's their issue, not yours. So boundaries teach people how to treat you. When you value yourself, you stop settling for less than what you deserve. Again, you have to know what that is. What do you deserve? Have you written that down? Do you know what that looks like? You know what you don't want. So what's the opposite of what you don't want? That's what you deserve. That's what you want to, that's what you want people to reciprocate, because you're giving it. And so again, boundaries teach people how to treat you. And when you value yourself, you stop settling for less than what you deserve. Next thing we're going to talk about is teaching your children confidence by modeling it yourself. Again, like I stated, if you don't set the boundaries, if you don't set them for yourselves, how do you expect your children to set them? Because they're going to model what they've seen you do, or they've observed you doing. And so they learn confidence by watching you. They don't just listen to what you say, they mirror what you show them. And in ways that you can model that confidence for your children, you can speak positively about yourself. Avoid self-criticism in front of your kids. Instead of saying, I'm so bad at this, say, you know what, I'm learning and I'm getting better. I had to do that. I had to learn that because I got so sick of repeating the same cycle, repeating the same patterns. I'm learning to do better. I'm getting better at this because you're not trying to be perfect in front of them. You're trying to show them transparency. You're trying to show them that you do have to give yourself grace. You have to show them that you got to love everything about yourself, whether it's a fault, flaw, good, bad, or ugly. You're teaching them that accept yourself for who you are, because if you don't know who you are, how do you expect others to get to know you? And so encourage, their strengths, instead of only praising outcomes like, grades for them, or if they put something in the trash if you got toddlers, or if they don't spill something or they pick up their toys, encourage them and praise their efforts, their resilience and their unique qualities. And so one thing you also want to do is demonstrate healthy boundaries. When they see you set those boundaries and they say no, and say, no, I'm sorry. When they see you demonstrate those boundaries and say, they learn to be confident in who they are. They walk in it. And so also let them see you fail. If they see that something's going on and they ask you a question, don't be afraid to answer it. Yes, I'm having a rough day, or yes, it's hard paying these bills. Whatever that may be, confidence isn't about perfection. It's about trying again after setback. A setback is 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 it's a minor setback for a major comeback. Is what that is. It's minor. It's not major. We make it major because it's like, oh, I got this, I got that. Then here comes something else. So the more we acknowledge that something else, or the more we acknowledge that setback, we can walk into the process of manifesting our comebacks. We can't, because we're so afraid of the of failure. We're so paralyzed by fear. And if that's not you, then this is not for you. And kudos to you with however you got to that place in your life. But show your kids failure. It's a stepping stone. It's not the end of the world. And also practice, self-care without guilt. Taking care of yourself teaches them about their well-being. It matters. It matters. And the best way to teach confidence is to embody it yourself. When they see you love yourself, they learn to do the same. And last but not least, there's some things that we can do in life to, strengthen our self love and self acceptance. Building confidence and self love, it's a daily commitment to yourself. It's not a one time achievement. Um, so I'm going to give you at least 5 simple yet powerful habits to help you embrace your worth and show up as the best version of yourself. And this is not for you, it's for your children as well. But you have to be the example again. Starting your day with affirmations, begin each moment speaking into your life, into yourself. Saying affirmations like, I am enough, I am worthy, I deserve love and respect, I deserve this promotion that I'm going for, I deserve to make 6 figures. Whatever that may be, whatever you're seeking for, whatever your goal is, you need to speak that affirmation, because you speak it into existence. Your words will shape your mindset. And the second thing you want to do is, again, prioritize self-care, whether that's exercising in the morning, or that's, you know, making sure you stretch before you exercise, or making sure that, once you shower, that lotion your entire body, whatever that may be. Sometimes it's simple things that we think it's a big deal, that is big things, but sometimes it's the simple things that will um, help you to prioritize your self-care. And so, whether that's 5 minutes of deep breathing, whether that's journaling, or just, like I said, exercising or taking a walk, make time for yourself daily. Taking care of yourself, it teaches your children that, self-love, self-care is essential. And it really is. It's a priority. And then celebrate your small wins. We are real big on the wins when they are big, like purchasing a home or purchasing a car. Sometimes that's major for certain people. And so celebrating small wins, like, you know what, I got up today and I was positive most of the day. I got up today and I accomplished my goal of whatever productivity, goal that I had at work today. I exceeded it. And sometimes that's a daily thing for me, a daily accomplishment for me. And I celebrate that, and even if it's getting through a tough day, or, oh man, I stuck to my boundary today, or, you know, I'm worth celebrating today, not just on your birthday, but celebrating yourself on a day where you've made those accomplishments for the week. If you set goals for the week from Sunday to Friday, whatever that week is, celebrate yourself on the weekend, and I mean, because you're worth it. And no matter if it's just, oh, I cooked every day this week, whatever that is, celebrate it. It's really simple. And so it's the effort that we put in celebrating ourselves. A lot of times we don't look at it from that perspective. We see major things as wins, but like I said, like purchasing a home, or buying an outfit, or buying a vehicle, whatever that may be. But just being able to get through a tough day is worthy enough of you celebrating that. And so surround yourself around positivity. Be mindful of who and what you allow into your space, your ear gates, your eye gates. Protect them. You have to protect them, because then you become that person. We limit negative influences and connect with people who uplift and encourage you. Because sometimes you may not have the capacity to hear someone else's day, or you may not have the capacity to um, and it's not like you're not being a good friend or a good significant other, whatever that may be, whoever you're listening to. It's just that you are having to deal with your own things, and you want to make sure that you are able, and you're readily available to that person, so that you can hear them, and they can, and you're full enough to where you can pour into them. Because if your cup is empty, you can't pour from it. You don't have anything left. There's nothing in it. And so also give yourself self-compassion, let go of guilt, um, you know, and perfectionism. You're doing your best of what you have, and that's enough. Be as kind as yourself as you are to your children, as you are to someone else. Be patient with yourself as much as you are to your children. And confidence grows through consistent action. When you make self-love, self-care a daily habit, you naturally teach your children to do the same. You are worthy of love, care, and respect, starting with how you treat yourself every day, every single day. And that also starts with knowing who you are, knowing your worth, knowing um what you desire, setting those boundaries. And so it's not about having a perfect life. It's about, like I said, knowing your worth, knowing what matters. Despite what life may throw you away. As single parents, we're the leader, we're the nurturer, we're the role model. You deserve love, respect, and the space to grow into your best self. So today I challenge you to start seeing yourself the way your children see you, with admiration, with love, limitless and potential. The only person that can give them what they need. You be that person that you can give yourself what you need. You're strong, you're capable, and you are enough. Even if you don't feel like it some days, you are enough. So I just want to thank you guys for being here. I do apologize for all the technical difficulties. Hopefully I can get this issue resolved soon, but I'm glad we could get through tonight's live. If any of this resonated with you, drop a heart in the comments, share your biggest takeaway. Let's keep the conversation going, because building confidence after rejection can be very challenging, but you definitely can do it. You can overcome it. You can build your confidence. And so until next time, if you'd like to continue this conversation or receive one-on-one support, I'm here to help you on your single parent journey. You can join my single parent life community Facebook group. I also have the Instagram group, Single Parent Life Community, or you can send me a private message or an email, info@thesingleparentlifecoach.com. So, like I stated, I hope something resonated with you all on this evening. And thank you so much for joining Keisha on YouTube. Thank you so much. You guys have a good evening. Until next time, bye for now.